It's time to take a ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive with our co-hosts, Alan Saunders and Zachary Smith.
Welcome into another episode of Steelers Afternoon Drive. I'm Zachary Smith. That is Alan Saunders, and I am a liar, pants on fire because DB is not here on a Friday, and I apologize to the folks. However, it's not my fault. This man, his Wi-Fi has been junk. I think the same people working on Twitter every single day are working on his Wi-Fi now as well because it's going down weekly down there in Kentucky. So no DB on Friday as he deals with internet issues, but how are we doing, Alan?
We need to start like a GoFundMe for like move DB to a first world country.
Yeah, he's in Kentucky, but he might as well be in, I don't know, Jordan for this matter. But either way, Alan and I are here. We're going to talk some Steelers football, of course, because it's a Steelers Afternoon Drive. We got a lot of good questions in the YouTube comments. Alan put out for some Twitter questions as well in real time. We'll see what to make of that. But we got some good stuff from the Twitter comments as always here. And I'll be honest, Alan, I want to start with this one just because like I put out yesterday about interest in Trey Palmer of the Buccaneers, the Steelers calling to ask about his available, probably just a general call to the Buccaneers, honestly, and saying, hey, who of your pass catchers is available? And that's the name that potentially they got back. I don't know. But that got like people, I had a couple people like literally tagging me in joke tweets, like saying they were interested in Chase Claypool and stuff like that. And I'll be honest, I thought Dave was getting in on a bit here when you mentioned this to me, because Dave Fileshifter, one of our best listeners, watchers of the show, always very active in the comments, always appreciative of the work that we do here. And we appreciate that. Mention the name Deon Cain, who's in the UFL. And to be honest with you, like I said, I thought you were messing around with me about throwing that name out there, but he's been producing in the UFL. Is it worth taking a flyer on him and maybe giving him another look in the NFL? What's your opinion on that?
Yeah, Deon Cain, been playing with Birmingham, 8 games, 27 catches, 491 yards, 6 touchdowns, a couple long ones too. I think he had a 65 yarder the other day. I think the UFL is definitely, a place where you can try to find some pieces, but like the success stories have been few and far between. Like the league's been around, whether you go back to the original XFL or even what was the one before that? I can't remember the name of it, but like you can find a depth guy there, but I don't think the Steelers have wide receiver depth guy problems. Like Skoranek and Scotty Miller and even Brandon Johnson, we talked about yesterday, are fine depth guys. They need talent. And well, I mean, with respect to the league and the players that are working hard there, it ain't there. You're just not finding a legitimate wide receiver 2 from the UFL scrap heap.
And this honestly kind of reminds me of like bringing in Hakeem Butler.
Yeah, and I don't even think Deon Cain has like the same amount of like Hakeem Butler has like unbelievable physical tools that was never able to put it all together. Deon Cain was a 6th round pick. Like you kind of know what you're getting. He played for the Steelers in 2019. Like that was a long time ago. I don't know what you're going to get out of him that you haven't already seen. He was with the Bills last year in preseason.
I actually no idea about
very
that.
much. He was here for that joint practice, but I don't remember him doing anything in the preseason game. I mean, I see the UFL as a place where you can find some rosterable guys, but I don't see rosterable guy as the issue for the Steelers at wide receiver. It's talent.
Kind of a good point. Like if they didn't have the Ben Skoranek, Scotty Millers of the world, maybe, you could pluck a receiver from there and it would make sense. But like, is he better than even those guys? No,
Probably not. There are positions where like I think I would be more interested, like tackle, for example. Like, like they don't really have. They have Calvin Anderson and they've got Dylan Cook. Like that. Okay, there's a shortage of like rosterable guys. They're not to say that both of those guys aren't, because they are, but that's it. Like you're going to keep 4 tackles. They have 4 guys who I would ever want to put on a 53-man roster on the team at tackle, like right now. So Yeah, like that's a place where I could see a center. They have two guys, Frazier
Yeah.
and McCall. They only have two centers on the whole 90-man roster. So like, go find me a UFL center. Yeah, absolutely. I'm down with that.
Yeah.
I don't think strong safety. I'm not really sure. There's a guy who really looks like a backup to Deshaun Elliott on the 90-man roster right now. Okay. You could I mean, Juan Thornhill can kind of do it, but like, give me a big box safety. Okay. Wide receiver just does not seem to be the place where they're lacking depth.
Oddly enough. I mean, it's kind of been the same thing, right? Like they have the bottom of the roster receivers in place, though. Like they're missing that guy to fit nicely into the top 3, and that's been that way.
Yeah. Yeah, I agree.
But anyway, so appreciate that, Dave. Another one of our very loyal commenters here, Justin Watson, sticking with the wide receiver position. I'll let this slide for him saying great stuff, Alan. I let it slide anytime that the comment comes from a morning rush, because it makes sense. I'm not on there. But Justin said, great stuff, Alan. Hope that they have competency at wide receiver position this year. Understand they're at least 2 years away, but facing the 4th heaviest boxes in 24 with a young OL / offense in general does no favors to this development, confidence, and we're building towards a QB-proofed offense for that first-round quarterback to step into next year. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I kind of see it both ways, because on one hand, it'd be really nice to take some pressure off the running game and the offensive line. On the other hand, like, they're probably, no matter what they do, not going to be real good at throwing the ball. And so, like, I mean, maybe if they get Aaron in here and they're able to add a significant wide receiver, I can see them being more balanced. But it just kind of feels like a team that is not going to be at this point. Like, I don't really see how they get to balanced from here. And like, I'm not being critical of that idea. That's the way you should be if you're not very good on offense, which kind of feels like that's where they're headed.
Yeah. So the reason that I appreciated this comment / question more than anything else is it's not something that I thought about. And anytime that somebody provides me with something where all of a sudden it gets my gears going in a direction that I wasn't thinking about, I enjoy that. I enjoy all of a sudden a new perspective being spun on it, because even acknowledging, they're probably not going to be very good at it. There should certainly be an effort to not have the state of the wide receiver room look the way that it did last year for a second straight year, I think. And they're going to, we've talked about that, like, regardless of what the end result ends up yielding, we know that they're going to turn stones to try to make that room better. They can say what they want about their confidence level in it. The actions speak louder than words. They're going to turn every stone to try to make it better. At the same time, I'm not of the mindset that they need to make a move just to make a move, to maybe marginally increase it, but maybe sacrificing in the long term for it. What I mean by that is, okay, if they could trade, like, waiting out the Packers, maybe that's the way that you get them to move off a receiver. If it took moving a like day 2 pick right now and they would do it, don't do that just to get them to make the deal. You know what I mean? Like, don't make a bad trade just for the sake of making a trade, is what I'm getting at.
Yeah, I talked a lot about that on Morning Rush this morning, so kind of let that stand as my thoughts. But
go back and watch it.
Very, very similar to that. I want to bounce over to Twitter because I have a question on the same topic. Braun H. We're going with Braun H here because man, that last name's Hoyce.
Oh, that's the CEO / founder of Believe Network, if you're familiar with.
Okay. Yeah, well, sorry, Braun, I've butchered your last name.
Braun H.
Braun H. Best guess on who's being added with that new roster space. The Steelers did create a roster spot by releasing defensive lineman, rookie defensive lineman Blake Mangelson today. I don't know. They don't necessarily like do things that way where it's like one. They're not necessarily cutting Blake Mangelson with someone in mind at this time of year. A lot of times they're just and we'll see. I haven't seen
Remember how fun that was last year? Literally any time that a roster space opened up, it was just
it's like
Brandon
that's for
Ayuk.
Yeah. The Steelers have cut their backup punter for Ayuk. Yeah, it just doesn't. They can make so like if Aaron Rodgers barges into Omar Khan's office right now at 5:30 p.m. on a Friday and says I want to sign, the Steelers can do that. Like they just have to make the corresponding transaction now at this point by 5 p.m. on Monday. So like it doesn't matter. I was actually interested in kind of learn some more about Blake Mangelson because remember it had been reported he signed with another team and then he ended up signing with Pittsburgh and the Steelers never announced his signing. He just was on the roster one day and I was a bit curious. So I guess it's going to continue to be a bit curious because I don't know what.
Maybe that's why he got released. They were like, "Wait a minute, you're here." We didn't realize we signed you.
It's like a Milton situation. We just corrected the mistake. Yeah.
Yeah, kind of honestly that same vein. In terms of best guess, he said best guess for the roster space. King M also from Twitter said, "Who's the best guess for the wide receiver that will be added, assuming that there is one?" I love when people put us on the spot again, though. Like, I feel like this is becoming one of those things where we talk about it too much. Like, I mean, how many times from now until the beginning of the season are we going to end up guessing who the receiver? To be honest with you, all right, so this is the way it's going to play out in my mind. We're still under the assumption that Aaron Rodgers is going to sign with this team. I think some form or fashion, Allen Lazard will end up being a Pittsburgh Steeler.
Yeah, I think that's probably the best answer. And since you've taken the best answer, I'll go with the second best answer. And it's the second best answer because I think it's possible. And also, it will take a very long time to be ruled out. And I'll say Romeo Doubs.
Okay. All right. Okay. You said I have the best answer. I like yours a lot more. So there we go.
Okay. Let's do this. Do you think I don't know what it would cost to get Allen Lazard. It can't be that much. He's making like $5 million. Like he's not worth that. It could not cost more than like a 6th round pick. Okay. Yeah. But would you, assuming that if the Steelers sign Rodgers, that Lazard would be interested in coming to Pittsburgh under that circumstance, and that Rodgers would be interested in having him, would you just go ahead and do that and get the bird in hand? Or would you want to sit and wait?
Kind of wait things out. Yeah.
Wait and see what happens with the Packers.
I mean,
I think Lazard is good. I've been meaning to write the story. I think Lazard is good enough to just do it. I think he's actually gotten like underrated because people sort of dismiss him as just Aaron's buddy. And while he is just Aaron's buddy, like he was still pretty darn good last year on an awful Jets team. He had 500 yards. Like, it's not.
Yeah, I would take him over a lot of the candidates that we've talked about, even though I feel like a lot of people are saying they wouldn't. And I don't know if it's just because of like the Aaron Rodgers connection and like they think they shouldn't be catering to him and bringing his guys in or whatever. I don't know. I don't know what the motive is behind a lot of the takes from the fan base. Like to me, Allen Lazard is one of I'd probably have him. So in terms of like realistic / plausible things to happen, I'd probably have him right behind the Packers guys. So I think the only way it would be tough for me to swallow is if we make the move for Lazard and one of those Packers guys ends up getting moved like to a different team or something like that later on down the road.
Yeah. Oh, I think that would definitely be, that's the risk you take, I think, but look at last year, Allen Lazard only played 12 games, 37 catches, 530 yards, 6 touchdowns. Romeo Doubs played 13 games, 46 catches, 601 yards, 4 touchdowns. Like it's a very similar production. Yeah. Now, obviously, one is 25 and the other is 30. No, it's going to be 30. So, yes. Okay, like obviously that's different, but like I think Allen Lazard is a pretty good option for the Steelers.
I would trade a late pick for Lazard as opposed to signing any of the free agents.
100% agree.
And we'll see what the comments say about that, because we've had a lot of people still beating the Keenan Allen drum, still beating the Amari Cooper drum. And I don't know what to make of Gabe Davis. Like, one of those 2 free agent visits and then nothing came of them. So
I don't know, man.
After being released with an injury designation, I don't think that's a very good sign.
No, it's not. And also Gabe Davis, just point out, only 230 yards last year. Now I know bad situation and all that, but
yeah. Our guy Randy Tobias, switching back over to the YouTube, had a 3-parter, so definitely got to get to this one. And Randy, I apologize if you've been able to see the blades going here and there. I do have my fan on. I know that bothers. That's why I'm trying to sit in front of it, but every now and then I move my head a little bit. But a 3-parter here from Randy said, how often do players such as Slade transition immediately from a player to a position coach? Usually more of a retirement time, a way to figure things out, and then maybe get back into it. Secondly, do these player coaches usually volunteer, or do they get paid? Can't imagine a pay would be anything more than nominal compared to what they've earned as a player. Thirdly, do these player coaches count towards the size of the coaching tree, which we know the Steelers always tend to be on the small, or I guess coaching staff, which we know the Steelers always tend to be on the small side. Do they only count if they get paid?
That's a good thought. So last year the Steelers had Ryan Shazier and Vince Williams in as coaches. The Steelers are like strangely coy about those agreements. They never announce them. They don't put them in their media guide or officially make them a part of the coaching staff roster online. I don't really understand why. I don't know if they're paid, or if they're paid, how much they're paid. But coaches don't make very much compared to what players do, especially like position coaches. So yeah, I mean, assistant position coach is not making a third of what a practice squad player makes, and probably not even making a fifth. And so if you have a player who's transitioning into coaching, they're doing it because they want to do it and they love it, or they're doing it because they need the money. Those are usually the 2 ways that it's sort of, some guys have a long career and they make a lot of money and they probably do not need the money and they just want to keep doing it. They want to keep coaching. Hines Ward is coaching, right? Hines Ward absolutely does not need to be coaching. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm sure he's got lots of money in the bank. He could probably do like 1,000 TV commercials a week if he was really hurting. And that'd be a lot easier than being a position coach, which is one of the hardest jobs in all of football, I will say. Like, those position coaches do not get paid very much and they work their butts off. So it is not like this, like, country club, we'll just hire a buddy and give him this. Like, it is a really, really demanding job. Like, they don't sleep basically during the season. And so I mean, a lot of guys will go right into it because they're still young and they want, they don't want to get behind, right? Like, Mike Tomlin was a head coach at 35. You guys are still playing. Cam Hayward's still playing, right? So, like, if Cam Hayward wants to coach, he's a long way behind the 8 ball. Now, you get a kind of a jump, right? A little bump in your prospects. Cam Hayward, if he decides he wants to retire and start coaching, or Darius Slay wants to retire and start coaching, he's not going to have to do what Mike Tomlin did and go be assistant wide receivers coach at VMI. Like, he's going to get a better opportunity right away. And so, you do get that because of your notoriety, but it's not like Mike Vick is the head coach at Norfolk State. Even the head coach at Norfolk State is not making very much compared to what Mike Vick made when he was playing. So, like, if you want to do it, you better love it. You better be in it for the passion. And like, look, some guys, the other side of it is guys whose careers do not go the way they want them to, right? And then those guys, like the Tom Arths of the world, right, where he's a player. He wants to be a player. It's not working out for him. He decides at a pretty young age, okay, I'm getting out of this and I'm getting into coaching, and then ends up as the head coach at his alma mater, John Carroll, and now he's in the NFL. So, yeah, I mean, there's definitely different paths to it, but good question. I like that, and I don't know if Darius Slay wants to coach or not. He certainly is a good mentor as a cornerback.
I think, honestly, I mean, I don't want to speak for Randy here. I wonder if this was rooted in Slay's answer or whatever when he was available to the media regarding being there for these types of things, even as a veteran, and gave a pretty long-winded answer on why he thinks it's important. And some people thought, was that a message to Aaron Rodgers? Was he speaking to just like vets in general, being around for these things? Was he speaking to his position group? To be quite honest, just from what I've seen from him and stuff like that, I could see him, like, he does a podcast and stuff. I think he'll go to the entertainment side of things,
100%.
to be honest with you, as opposed to being into coaching.
Yep, I absolutely agree. And I think he's going to be really good at it too.
And
that you make a lot more money that way. And the hours are a lot better.
Yeah, absolutely. Matt had a really good one here from Twitter. Matt D said, should Steelers fans be prepared for a major roster revamp next year, in your opinion? The picks and a motivated con and free agency.
No, I don't think they have big changes coming. I mean, quarterback.
Mm-hmm.
That's a big change. I think they'll try to address wide receiver between now and then, and they'll need some help at outside corner with Slade, only being here on a 1-year deal. But no, I don't think I don't expect any. I don't expect like major turnover. No.
I mean, look at the turnover from last year to this year.
I would say probably looking at less turnover from 25 to 26 than we had from 24.
That's what I was bringing up. Yeah. I mean, you look at
change over the whole quarterback
turned over.
Yeah, change over the whole quarterback room. Mason Rudolph and Will Howard are going to be under contract. So, two of the guys are probably going to be here. I don't think an offensive star of the caliber of Najee Harris or George Pickens is going to leave the team next offseason. So, I think the starting left tackle is not going anywhere. So, I think you're actually looking at it fairly like the Steelers have all these draft picks, and that's why they're going to trade up because they don't need them all. Like, they don't need a draft class of 10 guys. They just need 4 or 5 good ones.
Zahn here, it kind of, I guess, relates to a little bit of that. Saw some turnover, exit Najee Harris, enter Caleb Johnson. Does it mean anything for Jalen Warren? Zahn says, do you think the Steelers plan on re-signing Jalen Warren at the end of the season if the performance stays the same? If yes, what do you think a potential contract would look like?
I think if they were going to do that, they would have done it this offseason. They had a negotiation open with Jalen Warren. They, had the tender. He signed the tender. To me, that's a sign that the sides were not close on a long-term deal. So I'm not expecting that to happen as we sit here right now.
So how do you think this plays out for Jalen Warren?
I think they're going to wait and see what they have in Caleb Johnson, how much Jalen Warren ends up playing. And then if he ends up doing well, then they're going to have to pay a little bit more, but I think they're okay with that. But I don't think it'll be a long-term deal. I think they're going to try to 1 to 2 year keep him around. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, I mean, I love Caleb Johnson and love the idea of what he is going to be within this offense. I'd love to see both of them together for long-term. I guess, what do we define as long-term? If you could tell me that those two are going to be together for the next 3 seasson, I think that's where I would like to have it.
I would sign up for that, but I feel like if the Steelers were going to, they would have.
Yeah, I can't disagree with that. Again, going back to the actions being louder than the words, they did not give him that extension when they had the opportunity to do so. We leave a shout out, actually, not a question or anything here, although we could parlay a conversation off of it. Redbeard86, this was 22 hours ago on yesterday's afternoon drive, said, wonder if Kyle Pitts could be a potential trade candidate. And then today, Jordan Schultz reporting that maybe he is. They'd have to be quite enticed, would definitely take a day 2 pick to do so, to even get the conversation rolling on the Atlanta side of things. But Kyle Pitts, we just talked about yesterday, obviously, with Jonnu Smith. Maybe there are some pass-catching tight ends that we should be including in the Steelers' search for a pass-catching weapon. Kyle Pitts, also another Arthur Smith guy.
Yeah, I mean, way better than Jonnu Smith. This would be ideal. I don't see why Atlanta would trade him. What would? I mean, it's very similar to the Ayuk situation where unless things get ugly, I don't see him being moved. Interesting that it was put out there that they've been getting calls, but I don't know. Yeah.
It's interesting because you talked about a guy, and again, I'm not trying to fully absolve Kyle Pitts and say that he's done everything he possibly could to live up to being the 4th overall pick, and it's only been the quarterback play the reason that he hasn't or anything like that. But I mean, I think that's a big part of it for sure. Has been the quarterback play
Of
going
course,
from
do the Steelers have better quarterback play to offer right now?
No, absolutely. I guess I'm not speaking specifically to the Steelers aspect of things here, just for why Kyle Pitts is even in a spot where we're talking about this. I mean, going from obviously late career Matt Ryan to Desmond Ridder to Marcus Mariota, to the quarterbacks that he's had there. I mean, Michael Penix, the way that he played at the back half of last season once he got inserted, and I'm not a Michael Penix truther by any means, but he's got a shot to provide him the best quarterback play that he's seen.
When the best quarterback play you've had in your career is 36-year-old Matt Ryan, that's that's tough.
Mm-hmm.
But so I can understand why he'd want to be paid at a level that he is not really like that rookie year, like he's capable of doing, even though he hasn't done it in 3 years. I don't know. I think this is.
That's the other part of it, right? They picked up a 5th-year option, but I'm sure he's looking for an extension. Anything trading for him, I don't think he's just going to play out that 5th year. And So I am curious to see how that plays out. Don't necessarily think, again, going back to the Johnny thing, that ends up having any involvement with the Steelers. But this is not football related, but this was 5 minutes ago. Tyler tweeted to us, my co-host of Around the 412, if you and Smitty were a tag team duo, took on the Steelers roster in a Royal Rumble style wrestling match, but you got to pick the order of players coming out, how many players did you two defeat before we got thrown over the top rope? So here's the thing: every man for himself. Why are you and I?
Go ahead.
I honestly, I don't know if we're face or heel going into this, but
we're the heels. Facing the football team.
That's true. All right. So kind of my scenario kind of can't be played out here because I'm thinking Royal Rumble, every man for himself. Why are we even working as a tag team? Like, if we're faces, I might be turning heel at the beginning of this, to be honest with you, before we even get to a portion where you and I are working together. But 0, I think, is the answer.
Okay, so the question is, like, let's say we're 1 and 2, and we decide that we're gonna team up.
Mm-hmm.
If we get to pick the Steelers player that's 3, could the 2 of us get him over the top rope in 90?
Yeah, basically.
Is the question? Is because once there's a second player in the ring, it's over. Okay. So
how far can we go down the line? Like, okay, 3's got to be what? Calvin Austin?
No, no, we'll never catch him. He could run around the ring for 5 days before we got our hands on him. I'd have a heart attack trying to catch Calvin Austin. No, the real question is can we leverage Cam Johnson's injury to beat up the punter? Although he's pretty jacked. I don't know.
Yeah.
Ben Sauls is a small kicker. I'm going with.
Okay.
I think the 2 of us.
Ben Sauls at 3.
Is short. He's not that big. I think the 2 of us could get Ben Sauls out of there in 90 seconds. I feel comfortable in saying that we could get 1, and I think that might be it. And Cam Johnson's like Australian. He'd like bite, like finger claw, and I just Boswell, I don't know. Like he's he's not a big guy, but once you get through the kickers and the punters, we don't have a prayer.
You can't get disqualified. So like he could kick us both where the sun don't shine.
Yeah.
And then
God, I didn't even think about that. Like he could kick us. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't like our chances beyond Ben Sauls now that you said it. I mean, if you could guarantee me,
I think the answer is 1.
If you could guarantee me that Calvin can't be running around, if he has to stand still, then
he can leave the ring. He can run all over, right?
Yeah,
I mean,
as long as he doesn't go to the top rope.
No chance we're getting our hands on it. It's just not happening.
Last one, because I feel like we got to end it on a football related thing here. Kevin brings us back down and back into the football world. What kind of season do you think that a quarterback for the Steelers would have to have in order for them to pass on the draft class next year?
To me, it's not about the season of the quarterback. I think the team would just have to do so good that it just takes them out of realistic range of trading. And obviously, you would have to have good quarterback play to get there. But like, if Aaron Rodgers goes out here and has like the best year of his life, or not the best year of his life, but like the best year of his last 5, and is like winning NFL Comeback Player of the Year award, but the Steelers are still have 11 wins and they're out in the first or second round of the playoffs, still drafting a quarterback in the first round. Doesn't matter. Now, if you like make it to the AFC Championship game and now you're drafting at 30, 31, I can see just it being unrealistic to trade up that far, or so expensive to trade up that far that maybe the team would think twice about it.
Need like a Lamar Jackson scenario.
Right.
Quarterback just falling. Yeah.
Like I don't think I would, if you had to give me odds, or if I had to put up odds right now of like Steelers positions in the first round of the 2026 NFL draft, I would put I would put quarterback as the favorite over everything else combined by about 10 times.
Mm-hmm. That's a good question, though. Top 3 for me, I would say quarter, wide receiver, corner.
I think I'd flip corner and wide receiver. They are really good at getting wide receivers in the second round, even when they really need them. Corner has been a trouble spot for them, and I think
that's fair.
If they're going to address it, maybe they would want to do it a little bit sooner.
Okay. All right. Good stuff. Appreciate the questions as always.
Want to go like, do we have, what are we at? We're at 31. We can, let's just like rapid fire, get a couple more of these out of here.
All right. Sorry, Kevin. I said you're the last one. You're not the last one. Go ahead.
Jimmy wants to know the best barbecue in the Pittsburgh area. The best barbecue in Pittsburgh, in my opinion, is Showcase Barbecue in Homewood. But what's the place up by you that we went to out there in
Bowser's?
Bowser's out there in Beaver County. That was pretty solid.
Yeah, which is interesting. If there's anybody that watches or listens to this that's in the Beaver County area, first off, highly recommend Bowser's. But the second part of that is super interesting to me is when I was in high school and stuff, that was like just pretty much just a wing spot. Like that's where everybody went for their wing night. That's what they were like focused on, owned in on. That's what everybody knew them for. And then like, I don't know, maybe 5 years ago, actually COVID. So like when COVID came around, for whatever reason, they decided to dive into like the smoked meat stuff. They got a bunch of smokers they do outside, do it right there, right outside of the building and stuff like that. And now that is what they're known for. And the wings are kind of on the back burner. So
yeah, very good. Very good.
Very good stuff. Yeah.
Buy or sell. This one's from Steelers Stand. Buy or sell. Frazier and Fautanu will be the 2 best offensive players this year.
I could certainly, I mean, I'm super high on Fautanu, and I think you can make the case that Frazier was last year.
Yeah.
For me, it's between like DK's obviously in that conversation. I'm going to say Frazier will be, Fautanu will not be. So
I'm going to buy it.
Okay.
I'm going to buy it. And I think Frazier is their player most likely to be like a Pro Bowler on the offense.
Okay. Another good question that somebody could have asked us, but has yet to so far. Anything else? I'm going through trying to find if there was anymore on Twitter. My Twitter's been acted up, so it's hard to say. We got to all the ones from YouTube, so.
Butch wants us to rank these former Steelers cornerbacks and wide receivers.
This got DM'd to me as well, actually. I forgot about
Ross
this.
Cockrell, Valentino Blake, Cody Sensabaugh, the 2025 version of Cam Sutton and Cortez Allen.
Yeah.
We're just going to, except for the 2025 Sutton part, we're just going to T1, the reason that the Killer Bees never did anything in the playoffs. That's right there. Why is that all those guys were playing?
I'll be honest. I might have been Ross Cockrell's biggest fan, though. Like
I think 2025 Cam Sutton is the worst because now that it looks like Beanie Bishop is going to be their starter this year, like that just seems like not only was he not good, they could have gotten more experience for their guy who appears to be their starter going forward. When they were playing those other guys, they didn't have any better options. It's not like they were bench rotting some young guy to play those. That was just who they had. I think Sutton might be the worst of that bunch.
Yeah, give me not putting much time or thought into this. Give me Cockrell, Sensabaugh, Allen, Blake, Sutton.
I'm going four-way tie, Cam Sutton last. And then wide receiver, Marcus Wheaton, Sammy Coates, Eli Rogers, Van Jefferson, Chase Claypool. I mean,
okay.
Chase Claypool was like actually very good for the Steelers.
Yeah.
Like he's the best of those guys. And in fact,
was...
like if the Steelers wanted to sign Chase Claypool and bring him to training camp, like
that's the joke that actually
absurd.
I was making.
I mean, I don't think he would. I wouldn't be like betting money on him to make the team, even. But like, it's not crazy to suggest it. I have the softest spot in my heart for Eli Rogers, though. There's no rational reason to say this, but I got him as number 2. Sammy Coates, it was all just about injuries with him and Wheaton. Van Jefferson.
Jefferson's last to me, honestly, but I feel bad about it because he's such a good dude.
That was a poor idea. The other guys were just young guys they tried. Van Jefferson, like I would have rather played Brandon Johnson all last season than Van Jefferson.
Claypool, Rogers, Wheaton, Coates, Van Jefferson.
Yep, agreed.
There we go. Good stuff. All right, now we're going to get out of here. We'll be back next week. Alan, before we do so, tell people to find you.
You can find me at @Saunders_PGH on all of the social media apps that are currently working. So the ones not named Twitter, as is always seemingly the case.
Yeah.
SteelersNow.com is the place where you can go find the written work. Sign up for SN Plus. Got a story coming out tonight or tomorrow for SN Plus subscribers only. So you want to check that out. And then subscribe, hit that bell for notifications here on the YouTube platform. Definitely want to keep pushing that. And we crossed that big round number, 15,800. And this is such a good one. Todd Peterson.
Two. All right. I mean, the easy one would be to say the guy right now, QB1, currently Mason Rudolph. However, I will go with Brian St. Pierre.
That's a very good one.
Yeah.
I put a tweet out there yesterday about if the Steelers had, I was commenting on a picture of TJ McConnell mugging at the celebrities on the sideline of the Knicks game, and I said if Pittsburgh had an NBA team, who would be the who would be the Yinzer celebrities? Who's our Spike Lee? Who's our Ben?
Yeah, a couple people said me, by the way.
Yeah, well, you're I want to of the people that were not named that I want to include the guy who pretended to be Ben Roethlisberger and then subsequently pretended to be Brian St. Pierre in order to try to get dates. That's what I'm going with.
I love it.
He needs to be there.
You know who doesn't get talked about enough within Pittsburgh lore, and he's passed away, rest in peace, but used to love going to see him literally once a year for his Christmas concert, is B.E. Taylor.
Oh, B.E.
That was my guy.
Was quite good, yeah. Someone did say the lead singer of Rusted Root as a very random pool, and I was like, that's so good because I can totally see that. Yeah. That's
all right. Let us know your favorite number.
Also, another one that was not named was the Romper Stomper girl. I feel like that needed to happen. But lots of good options there for Yinzer sideline celebrities.
And that's something we can open up for the comments as well. Let us know who you think should be would be courtside if we had a Knicks celebrity fan row as well, something here in Pittsburgh. And also let us know your favorite number 2. Based off the comments we get typically, I guess a lot of people just say Mason Rudolph as their answer to that. But subscribe, hit that notification bell if you are here on YouTube as well. If you're listening somewhere else, Apple, Spotify, wherever your podcast from, be sure to leave a 5-star review and subscribe over there. Just search Steelers Afternoon Drive. Do the same thing over on TikTok, and then you'll find me everywhere. Zachary Smith, PGH, for Alan Saunders and myself. Thanks for jumping in and taking another ride on the Steelers Afternoon Drive.